It's all about the bombing of the oil installations in Saudi Arabia. They call it drone attack, and the Saudi Arabian government says they can take care of their own security-wise. But Donald Trump is talking tough, saying, Iran, you guys are guilty. Iran said, look, we have nothing to do with it. But right now, Germany, France, Italy, they are saying, Iran, we are suspecting you. Iran said, look, we have nothing. Then a Houthi group linked to Iran claimed responsibility. What do you think will be the fallout of all this? Is it a spill of what is happening in the nuclear deal? Is it a spill of the grievances of the Iranians against the U.S.? Is it a spill of the bad blood between Iran and Saudi because of their link to the U.S.? All these and more we'll take a look at in the discussion segment of International Forum. With me here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner, a human rights activist. We talk about international affairs. He's well grounded. Join me to welcome Barrister Osahon Osazuwa. Barrister, welcome to the show. I appreciate your comment. All right. So very close to Barrister Osahon Osazuwa. Yes, he's a legal practitioner. I keep on wondering, why aren't you practicing? Anyway, he was one-time vice chairman of Int'L local government, one-time acting chairman of Int'L local government. He's a politician, a human rights activist, both local and international politics. Is well grounded. Honorable Desmond Dubo, welcome to the show. All right. Good afternoon. So, I want to start off with you, Honorable Desmond. This onslaught, because like I said, this is an onslaught because really it had this negative effect in Saudi Arabia oil production against Saudi Arabia, and the suspect right now is Iran. How do you feel about this tension building up between Saudi Arabia and the Iranians?
Thank you. People will be tempted to describe this ongoing fight between the Houthis aligned with that of Iran and that of the Saudi Arabia-led coalition against this rebel. One would be tempted to say that yes, the Iranians, they are in tacit connivance with the activities of these Houthis. The reasons are not far-fetched. The Saudi Arabia has come out to identify with the government of Hadi, who was the deputy to Ali Saleh when the Arab Revolution saw him stepping aside, and eventually he was made to step aside. When he stepped down, you will recall the genesis of the differences that saw pockets of rebellion against the Make government. And Hadi couldn't organize a transition, as it were, to a proper government that all will now be included, like what you might like to call an all-inclusive government. And that the singular action of Saleh, who eventually now aligned with the Hutus rebel, finding out that his army were of minority, he supported the rebels against the Make government. And in all of this, Saudi Arabia has come out publicly to stand for a well-organized government, to stand for a government that is all-inclusive, to stand for a unity, rallying around the other Arab states who now came to form that coalition with a view to restoring peace and normalcy in Yemen. But the Iranian has done otherwise. Instead of coming publicly to condemn the escalating activities of the rebel, they came out supporting them not only with military forces, but with sophisticated weapons. The use of this drone that saw the bombardment of the Abkhaz Kingdom installation and that of the Karu's oil field, which today is the largest oil installation when it comes to refining and processing of crude oil. For such a rebellion group to have such a drone that has such destructive capacity of over 1,500 kilometers, and whereas when the fight rages on, that saw the Iranians supporting a section of the rebels, and the Saudi Arabia form a coalition of the Arab countries to save the remains of Qadi's government. When he left, he ran away. But however, in all of this, the Iran should come out point blank and come out straight.
Okay.
Their support. If they are in support, let the United Nations, as it being currently held, know, so that the war against proliferation of sophisticated weapons should be targeted at Iran.
All right.
If not, this name calling, where a section of a country like the rebellion that is currently being exemplified by the Houthis, they should be bold enough to state categorically the reasons why they should continue to hold on to power. If you are fighting against a system, you should come out with a clear-cut ideology. The poverty situation in Yemen, or rather what is now known as the worst humanitarian crisis in history, should be topmost in a solution to the crisis in Yemen, not the military approach. Humanitarian services should be coordinated globally. Proper political solution should be provided to the crisis in Yemen.
All right. I'll come back to you, Honorable Desmond Ugbo. Now, Barrister Osaho, he has spoken at length. He gave a perfect foundation for the discourse, talked about the power of a drone to commit such a havoc, and how did these rebels, so to speak, possess this drone. I wanted to come in from that angle.
Yes, thank you very much. It is not out of place, especially in the Western world today, to underestimate the Houthi rebels in Yemen. They have been doing this since the war broke out, about 4 or 5 years now. They keep underestimating them, that they can't have nor be able to deploy such capabilities as the one that we saw with the 18 drones that hit the Saudi oil installations. But that's that. Whether it came from the Houthis as being claimed by them, or whether in one way or the other it came from Iran, that should not be the issue now. Because if you look at it, the Houthi rebels themselves are Iranian backed. So in one way or the other, there must be an Iranian connection to it. That's that. But what we must ask ourselves today is, how did we get here? How did we get here? You see, it is said that that if you keep pushing a goat, there comes a time even the goat will react. That is exactly what is happening today in Yemen. For so long, the world have turned the other eyes. While we see the Saudi-led invasion of Yemen taking place, with sophisticated American weapons being deployed to kill helpless civilians, and they thought they could just, that the use of overwhelming force alone could give them victories. But we have seen for about 4 years now, over 4 years now, that the fight continues, and there seems to be no end in sight. That tells you something about the resilience of the human spirit. That no matter how good, how well organized, what the level of weaponry being exercised by a fighting power, you can't take away that willingness to suffer from situations like this. And many people have suffered all this long, and they continue to suffer. So what we saw that day was a response that we can do this. And they said, yes, we did it. But all of us, for some strange reasons, we refuse to believe that they could do it, because we think they are ragtag people who cannot possess such capabilities. But having said that, you must also understand that these are the same people who have been bombarded by American precise weapons for so long now. They are still there. They are still fighting. They are still holding their territory. So there must be something about these guys that we don't yet understand. So if they say they did it, I think all of us should just say, is it possible? Of course, they are Iranian back. Iran has a hand in it. And Iran themselves, there was this plan that was working so well, that worked for many years before Donald Trump came. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, which was working, which Iran adhered to. But for some strange reasons, because Trump wanted his name to be on the D, he didn't want the name, he didn't like the name of Obama that was stamped on it, the imprimatur of Obama's, that this is Obama's D. He wants a D by himself. And people, when people like us say this, people say we just say no, we don't like Trump, we don't like Trump. We even saw his new lackey, Boris Johnson, saying about yesterday that he will support a Trump D, that Trump deserves a D. We should have a Trump D. If there's a Trump D, maybe it will be a better D. He just wants his name on it. And that's also part of a people. Iran themselves has been targeted for so long a time. The economy is almost crumbling. Go to the hospitals now, there are no basic drugs, no prescription drug, and people are dying every day. And they want to do something to show that, look, we are still capable of stuff like this. You put away these sanctions and let's talk.
All right.
I think they just want to say that we can still do something like this.
They're making a statement.
That's just what has happened that day.
All right, just join us right now in the studio is our human rights activist, a political analyst, Stanley Osaze. Stan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
You've heard Honorable Desmond Ugbo and, of course, Barrister Osazuwa Osanhodo spoken at length on this issue. How do you feel about this onslaught on Saudi Arabia oil installations?
First and foremost, we should understand something. The issue surrounding the conflict in Saudi Arabia and in Yemen, it's all about American strategy to divide the Islamic world. Now you're not seeing the Shias and the Sunnis confronting each other. Why the Sunnis have their base in Saudi Arabia, the Shias are backed or are part and parcel of Iran. You agree to the fact that before the advent of the Iranian Revolution in 1979, the Sunnis was almost ruling in Iran as a then, before the US led attack against the Iranians, which now gave room to the Iranian Revolution that was chaired by the Ayatollahs Ali Sayyid Khamenei. And after then, there was a series of war between Iraq and Iran. The US-backed attack on Iran. So the goal and objective of all this is geared towards dividing the Muslim world, and they have succeeded. As of today, the Muslim cannot come out as one. The then existing Muslim Ummah is no longer in existence. What you see today is those who happens to see themselves as Shias and those who see themselves as Sunni. Those who believes in Muhammad and those who believes in Imam Hussein. So these things have degenerated into the conflict that we are seeing today. One other thing, because if you look at the topic of our discussion today, it's the attack on Aramco oil facilities, its influence on global politics. First, you cannot discuss about global politics without talking about supremacy of power politics. If anybody tells you that there will be a single war in the Middle East against Iran, don't even believe that. America cannot even dare to attack Iran. It is not as if America cannot confront or break Iran if they choose to attack Iran, but there will be huge implication. The Iranian military has grown to the level at which they can systematically launch missile attack against Saudi Arabia from anywhere, even directly from the cave. And if there is any possible war within 48 hours, they might be end in Mecca and Medina. And I think Saudi Arabia is not ready to take that risk. That is why you are seeing the US-led administration pushing from the angle of saying we are ready to talk with Iran. If Iran lacks the potential capacity to check the activity of Saudi, believe you me, America would have invaded them within a twinkle of an eye. We knew what happened when President Trump tried as much as possible to show himself as a top-notch in the military, in the US military strategy, when he launched a Tomahawk missile attack against Syria for an alleged use of chemical weapon. So the truth of the entire matter here is this. The Houthi rebels on their own, they strongly believe that it is their right to defend their nation. And whether we like it or not, you cannot confront a determined enemy, an enemy that is ready to stand the test of time. I will agree with him that the Houthis have been underrated for quite a long period of time. Just even recently, Saudi Arabia launched an attack against Houthis that led to the death of majority of civilians, women and children. So these things go a long way to be painful on the heart and mind of this person. So in a nutshell, they have to respond. But one fact is very clear here. Whether the attack is traceable to Iran or not, you cannot determine how the boundary of any war these days. Every country has their strategic interests. Yemen is just an environment, an enclave for proxy wars to take place. While Saudi-led coalition is attacking Houthi rebel, Iran and Hezbollah is giving heavy support to the rebels. And again, the United States of America is considering Tel Aviv, considering Israel. What is the interest of Israel if there's any possible attack? Because Hezbollah is already ready to engage in a guerrilla warfare against Israelis. So if America chooses to say we want to react the way Trump, because Trump said all options are on table. And if they choose to react in line with that, believe you me, there will be catastrophe in the Middle East, and the US cannot stand to pay the price. That is why there will be no single war attack in the Middle East. What you see is all about diplomatic negotiation, finding a lasting solution to address the problem. The war rhetoric that you are hearing is just for the media hype. They cannot even throw office spin in Iran for now.
For now. I'll come back to you, Stan. Well, you've heard the stand of Stan. He talked about Iran not to be a kind of a country you push over in this whole scenario, but the U.S. sent troops to that region, and that is beginning to anger Iran, and they issued a stern warning. Do you think that may trigger off what we call an apocalypse, so to speak, in the Middle East because of these two great nations showing their might?
Not at all. Not at all, considering the stand of Donald Trump in this whole crisis. You know, taking the kind of action that Donald Trump, and I know normal Donald Trump would have taken, considering the subterranean support of Iran to this rebel, and the fact that the United States of America is one of the leaders, the world leaders, that will condemn such system of government that is currently being practiced in Yemen. I think the leaders, I'm talking about the Iranian leader and the United States of America president, they know exactly the strength of both sides. And the last option is for Donald Trump to order a full-fledged war against Iran. And the devastating effect to United States and indeed the United States interest in that region will be so unbearable. So for diplomatic reason, I think Donald Trump has opened a possibility of meeting with the president of Iran during this UNGA. The reasons are that the recent sophisticated weapon deployment by Iran and their ally has suggested that Iran has gone against the nuclear war treaty. And an indication that, you know, when you are fighting a lion, you should also have requisite or a corresponding weapon to face such attack. Just like as Barrister Saham mentioned, there is no nation, especially the ones around the Middle East, that one will just underestimate their capacity when it comes to the use of sophisticated weapons. And we're just saying a rebel is not a government can have such a drone with such a capacity that can carry out an attack within a radius of about 1,500 kilometers. And you see the location of Sana, where they currently occupy, is within about 932 kilometers. It's not up to about 1,000 kilometers. So this is a systematic and a coordinated attack that serves as a warning. One will be tempted to say that, is it because the Iran has been seriously sanctioned by US? You know, in history, that is the worst sanction that US has ever placed against a nation, especially in that regard. So it is very clear that the Iran, who has been in support, has certain economic gains that they derive from this war.
All right.
Why were they sanctioned, Benicio?
Okay.
Was it not because of the sales of weapons and so many other assistance, which negates the very tenet of the United Nations against such practices? To me, the United States of America can only talk with Iran diplomatically to reduce the wave of escalation of this drones deployment.
All right. Now, drones deployment, I just believe that you guys, you've seen the footage. Just imagine a rebel being able to use the word clean an oil installation from the surface of the earth. It was like, you know, a range of like bombardment and stuff like that. Now, Iran, they are denying it. The Houthi rebels, they're saying, yes, they were the one that did it. But US says, Iran, you guys are directly responsible for this. Germany, France, they're saying, yes, Iran, you guys are responsible for it. And they made mention of one statement: we are still on the table of you carrying on with our deal we had about your nuclear deal. Is it all about the nuclear deal? Barrister Sao?
It is a complex issue. Ever since the rise of the Persian Empire, the present Persian Empire in the form and shape of Iran, so many Persians have been unsettled. So many traditional power bases, especially in the Middle East. In those days, it used to be, the power base used to be somewhere in Cairo. It has shifted. It is now somewhere located in Tehran. So, and also based on the ideology of the Islamic State of Iran itself, vis-a-vis Hezbollah, vis-a-vis the Houthi rebels, and vis-a-vis so many indices in the Middle East now. So Israel is not comfortable at all. And by implication, the United States is also not comfortable. So they just wanted something to be done. And Obama, in his wisdom, thought that the best thing they could do then was to, because at the pace Iran was going there, Iran could, if Iran wanted to fully embrace, to pursue nuclear power acquisition, in a matter of months, if not weeks, Iran could have become a nuclear power at that time. So Obama realized that something has to be done, and he quickly came up and backed that JCPOA. It was not perfect. There's never a perfect deal, but in that context, it was the best that could have been derived, and Obama got that, which significantly slowed Iranian nuclear ambition. But of course, because the deal itself has some loopholes, very minute one, which, if, of course, even with the loopholes, the verification has always been there. Iran couldn't proceed to acquire weapons unless it started enriching. So many things needed to be done. 20%. And they adhered to it. And one would have think, common sense would have dictated that any right-seeking person should say, this is the best of all possible worlds. This is the best we could have gotten. Let's live with it. Given the fact that Iran was also abiding by a nuclear deal, but fast forward to 2016, the upset came, the election, and Trump came in. And Trump came with, he's a man who doesn't think thoroughly. Of course, he couldn't think thoroughly. I haven't said that he knows more than all his generals combined. So he wasn't listening to people. He wasn't listening to advice. He just loathed and hated Obama. So when he saw that one of the key things that Obama did, the Iranian nuclear deal, and of course the Obamacare, he just couldn't stand these stops that bore Obama's name and started attacking them in one form or the other. Without forgotten the implication when it came to Iran. He acted and haven't put out of the deal. Then what next? He said he wanted a better deal. What is the wrong with this present deal? Has Iran been faulting or been found wanting in one way or the other? And no, and there was no way to go forward.
There was a report that Iran was found wanting.
No, there's
recent.
No. What happened was that after the aftermath of Iran before they even enriched to 5% the other day, they told the world. And that, of course, is also a peripheral, a fringe aspect of the deal. And the main thing, as they are not come to the main thing when you reach beyond 20%, that's when the alarm starts shooting. No, but then, how do they not handle Iran? And then, of course, we also have this young man in Saudi Arabia, the prince, and you also begin to ask yourself, why will the United States continue for decades to begin to prop and support a tyrannical monarchic system at the expense of a democracy, which is Iran? You begin to understand even what the pretensions, the very nauseating hypocrisy of Western democracy, because Saudi Arabia serve their interest.
Okay.
And because some people in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv they are not comfortable with the rise of Iran. You live with it. For God's sake, the state of Israel has had nuclear weapon since about 1982 or 83. But nobody has come. But people are still living somewhere in Tehran. People are still living somewhere in Egypt, even when they were arch enemies then. So we must understand that we must be able to be large-hearted enough, not only to embrace our friends, but to also come to the understanding that our enemies, our so-called enemy, has the right to exist.
All right.
So that is just my thinking of it.
All right. I'll come back to you, Barrister Ostazua. Now he brought out the Trump issue. Is this man Trump truly the trouble right now that gave rise to this attack?
But first, we should understand the fact that Iran is a rogue state. I just want to clear that.
Rogue state in what terms?
I will explain. But before then, let me just tell you about Trump. You should know that there is great difference between the Trump administration and the Obama administration. Obama came from the establishment, while Trump came in as President Donald Trump. He received these votes directly from the people. Trump was, the establishment was against Trump. But let us just identify the controversy that surrounds the nuclear deal with Iran. The Trump administration is stating categorically clear that in spite of the fact that there was a deal, the deal did not cover the Iranian ballistic missiles. That the ballistic missile is capable enough of threatening global peace. So Trump wants negotiations that will cover the ballistic missile. And the Iranians are saying, you alone cannot decide for the entire world. There's already a deal and we must subscribe to it. The Republican accused Obama administration of giving through the deal, giving Iran billions upon billions of dollars to continue to export global terrorism. That may be pretext. But at least to some extent, this is the stance of the Republican.
We don't have proof of that.
Yes, I'm not. Yeah,
we don't have proof of that. So we want to go to rhetorics right now.
I'm a Republican. I said this is the stand of the Republican. It is obvious. Everybody's aware of this. It's on the media space. Now, we have gotten a fair share of the Iranian action. Sometime during the Jonathan administration, it's 2013 or 14, where they import arms through the Nigerian port. Nigeria complained to the United Nations, summoning the Iranian ambassador. Why are you bringing this arm into our country? Till date, we are not aware the reason behind that. But the truth of the matter is, whether we like it or not, the fact is very clear. Iran on its own have an intent of taking over the existing political structure of the global communities, most especially the Middle East. Now, the reason why I said there will be no single attack on Iran is this. There are different US bases. We have bases in Afghanistan. We have US base in Afghanistan. We have a US base in this country that is close to Iran, where you have Khalifa regime. US Fifth Navy split is cited there. If there is a single attack within a twinkle of an eye, Iran will bring those bases down. And what about the location of Iranian proxies? As we speak, Iran controls Baghdad. Iran controls the capital of Syria. Iran controls their own capital, Tehran. And as today, Iran is now about to control the capital of Yemen. And that is not going well with the Saudi-led administration. So they have no other option than to ensure that their coalition check the growing power of Iran. And again, the US has decided to weigh the pros and cons. There is no way the United States will negotiate with you when they know that they are at edge over you. If an attack is orchestrated against Iran, within a twinkle of an eye, Iran will lay mines in the Strait of Hormuz. No single oil can ply that particular strait. And at the end of the day, that might create global financial problem. And the US as a capitalist economy is not ready to stand that. So they have no other option than to go in for negotiation. And again, Iran as a country, the entire wars that the US have fought in the Middle East is benefiting Iran directly. I'm not talking from your angle. Iran is the one benefiting from the whole war. After so many years in Afghanistan, are you aware that the US government bribed the generals in Iraq to allow them to take over Baghdad? What in the case of Afghanistan? Said now this taking over is not giving more room for Iran to consolidate and to grow to the level at which they cannot be able to confront the political hegemony and the military strength of the United States. This is not about having the best weaponry or arsenal at your bank. It is about using your weaponry, having the determination. The Iranian foreign minister said yesterday that Saudi Arabia and the United States thinks that a massive series of sophisticated weapons will determine the victory in a possible war with the Houthi rebel. That at the end of the day, if the best thing that they need to do now is to look for a way to end the war. If not, they believe that Houthis have the capacity to do more. Go and check Press TV. So what I'm saying in a nutshell, sir, there is a little confusion in the Middle East right now. Iran is not just a little country like Nigeria. Sorry, a little country like, in fact, Iran is almost bigger than Europe. It is 2 times bigger than Nigeria. So you cannot just see Iran and begin to say you identify all the military locations in Iran that when there is a possible war, you just bomb the whole military installation. So Iran is positioned in a way and manner that even in case they can launch direct attack against Saudi. Anywhere US interest is in the world, that is a threat that the US is trying to curtail. And the only panacea to do that is to use economic sanctions, or you hear them shouting in the UN, we condemn, but no single fist will be thrown to Iran.
All right, now talking about might, talking about hegemony, talking about power display in the Middle East, is that what Iran is targeting right now from your own analysis? Because he said that.
First and foremost, Iran, by so doing, is demonstrating its might in the Middle East. There should be one particular figure that US will look up and say, yes, this is somebody that we can. The truth is this: US is the gainer of this crisis so far. How? From the almost 9.7 million barrels that the Saudi Arabia contributes to the global oil market. The installation, the bombing of installation has reduced it with about 7 million barrel shortage. And United States of America has agreed to release from their stock to make up the
deficit, so to speak.
All right. And by so doing, who is gaining? Who is losing? To rebuild that installation has been bombarded. And to shore the oil has been shut down as a result of the bombing. I tell you, it will take Saudi Arabia some days, let me put it that way. And the United States of America has started gaining right from day one. So you can see that this pseudo support or prosy war, as it were, is benefiting some certain countries while others are lamenting. But the Iranian government and that of the Saudi Arabia thought it wise on the part of the humanitarian crisis that is currently bedeviling Yemen as a country. Have they come together to provide solution to the lives that is being lost on a daily basis? As I speak with you, there is these statistics that says an average of about 37 people is being killed on a daily basis, and over 900,000, over 90,000 people have been killed since the crisis started in 2015. And what was the cause of the unrest in Yemen that those world leaders now begin to now penetrate and have interest in it? What was their problem? It's unemployment. It's poverty. Is the United States of America coming up with Iran to provide solution to arrest the ugly situation in Yemen? No. That tells you that this imperialism to some African country is ravaging some countries in the Middle East. And the worst hit are those Arab countries. At a time when the ISIS capture a territory in the same Yemen, in the wake of the crisis that characterized the Arab Revolution in 2011. All these are pointed to the fact that the Arab country, as it were, the Western country that are either supporting or against whatever crisis, are also doing that on their own diplomatic calculation to cause a stir in order to widen the gap between the unity that existed among countries of the Middle East, because they are war countries. If you look at the statistics of war across the world, this particular region appears to be a ring of fire. And the United Nations annually keep condemning any act that happened within the period, and no decisive action has been collectively taken.
Okay, I will come back to you if we have more time. Now, does it mean that Saudi Arabia, they are not capable of protecting their territories?
It appears so, and that is a paradox in itself. Because I think as of today, Saudi Arabia has spent more. Only the United States and Russia, I think, has spent more, and China. The United States and China have spent more on its military in the world than Saudi Arabia. They are the third in the hierarchy now. So given all the precise guided missiles and all the latest US arsenal that are being flown every day to Riyadh, one would have expected now that Saudi Arabia should be towering head and shoulder above all powers in the Middle East. But sadly, that seems not to be the case. What they have been doing with all the precision leaks that they are eating children going to school, they are eating hospitals. One would have thought they would be eating Iranian and the Houthi military. But they are eating school children, school buses. That's what all these American guided lasers are doing right now, as we speak now in Yemen. And that, of course, is an irony too. So I think Saudi Arabia has come to realize that money does not readily transform or translate into getting results on the battlefield. that there is more to a war than a pause. That yes, you need money, but money cannot even guarantee you success. That is why, to the credit of the Iranians, they have been able to spread their tentacles. And my discussant was very right when he talked about Iran today controlling Baghdad. Not only controlling Baghdad, also controlling its own Tehran, controlling Yemen. Iran has spread, even controlling Gaza. Yes, with Hezbollah on the ground, we controlling Lebanon too. We must also make sure. So that's and the United States has come to realize that a war with Iran will be so. There will be no end to Iran. To the war with Iran. And Iran is a behemoth, even talking geographically. It's a large place. And not just large in itself, but also spread itself. And I tell you, when we talk about who's benefiting, Iran has spent billions and billions of US dollars expanding itself, reaching out through allies. And when ISIS came up, when the United States forces where everybody was afraid, it was Iranian Mujahideen and Hezbollah that took on ISIS and ensured that we got victory. We must not forget that. So they have been tested. These are battle-hardened people who have tasted war and they have grown used to war and they cannot even wait for the next war.
They are ready for war. Wow, interesting stuff. You're going to have the last take on this discourse because of time. So what do you think is the way out of this quagmire? Mind you, Iranians are still talking top. They're looking at the sanction placed on them by the U.S. because of this nuclear deal. That seems to be their anger right now.
The way out is, from the perspective of the United States, allow the oil to flow. All you are seeing right now is the oil war. The person that lost in this attack against Saudi Arabia is the United States and Saudi. Those who benefited this attack are the Iranians.
But he said U.S. also benefited.
No,
of course.
No, excuse me, I will explain. The U.S. is not benefiting anything in this attack. What they are benefiting at all is the sales of arms. Donald Trump said, I made a single call to Saudi Arabia. They paid the sum of $80 billion. They even pay more than Europe. He said, they even pay more than Europe. They pay in cash. The CNN is still analyzing it tomorrow. You can confirm it. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is, Iran is the one benefiting right now because the attack emanated from the Houthi rebel. And if there is no single approval from Tehran, no such attack will take place.
Sure.
One. And secondly, the Houthi rebels have no capacity to develop the kind of weapon used against Saudi Arabia. Just the weapon cost $15,000. That was used, $15,000 that was used to attack Saudi Arabia, and such damage was impacted on Saudi Arabia. What if in a situation where the real mother Iran confronts Saudi Arabia? Can't you see the devastation? So for now, the Western war hawk, like do not be carried away by the statement of John Bolton that is calling for steady war. We know quite well that John Bolton is a war hawk. But aside a mere political statement, no individual whatsoever can carry out an attack. So the way forward is clear. What the US wants is for the oil to continue to flow because the dollar is tied to the oil. As the global economy in the past was tied to gold, that is the way. The oil is the most expensive natural resources so far in the world right now. Forget the story of gold, diamond, and this. So the truth is, the US want that oil to be flowing. Iranian wants their right as a country, their right to exist. But all in all, if the whole world have access to nuclear weapons, there will be peace.
Seriously?
Yes.
Now that calls for another topic. Not today. Not today. Gentlemen, our time is up. Thank you so much for your wonderful analysis. Let's see how they're going to resolve this. Is this a slap on Saudi Arabia? Because, come on, they say that, look, Saudi, just a small segment dealt with you. That means you are not capable when talking about security. What do you think Germany, France, and other EU countries will do in this aspect? What do you think Donald Trump will suggest? What about Saudi Arabia that is licking their wounds? What do you think they will do? Ours is to report back to you. Bye for now.